We are continuing with our tour of NHL teams that are not in the postseason and how these teams have room to build for the future. Because when it comes to my boys over in Jersey, the Devils have themselves a pretty good main course on defense that I wanted to dissect in this video today. Now, of course, when it comes to the Devils defense, you can talk about the guys that are quite literally on the team already. There are a few names that stand out in particular. Kevin Ball is a fairly young guy, 23 years old. John Marino is young enough, I guess you could say, to toss into that conversation. But I wanted to focus on a bunch of the guys that are already on this team, and then go over a name that a lot of people haven't really been talking as much about, but I think who deserves as much praise as the other guys. So the main two that everybody is familiar with already, you've got yourselves the youngest of the Hughes bros. Luke is right here, and with projected #1 defense pairing partner into the long-term future, Simon Nemec, also on this team too. It serves as a very good reminder that the best of Devils hockey is yet to come. Luke is only 20 years old, Simon is only 20 as well, and these guys are both going to be staples, long-term trademarks of the Devils and their blue line. Now, I'm pretty sure because these guys have been fairly popular players over the past few years, everybody's kind of familiar with the story here. I mean, Luke Hughes just wrapped up his rookie season with 47 points in 82 games played. While sure, it's not as many points as Quinn Hughes got, haha, Vancouver supremacy, baby. I'm kind of half joking about that, by the way. Luke had himself a fairly good season, all things considered. Now, there still are a few things that you could say he needs to work on, things that the other Hughes bros haven't really had to deal with. Luke, I'd say, is a little worse defensively than what Quinn showed off when he was at the same age. Of course, the point production was also in Quinn's favor as well, but Luke is a bigger guy, 6'2", 183, so it's a different profile. There's a different style here between the guys. I'd say that Luke has a little bit more back and forth, forward, backwards stride pacing than Quinn. Quinn's a lot more spinnier, a lot more perimeter based. Luke is not afraid to come right in and take a shot. 9 goals in his rookie NHL season for a defenseman definitely is not bad. And then, of course, paired with his brother Jack, things are going to be looking pretty good into the long-term future with Hughes sending up to Hughes and then Jack coming in on the breakaway and scoring or whatever. Simon Nemec, though, had himself a season that you could technically say was also his rookie year. He had 19 points in 60 games played. He started out the year in Utica, but finished it out in New Jersey. Was a very, very solid defender for the role that he was given. He was not thrusted into immediate stardom positions like Luke was. Nemec was roughly around the, let's just say, inconsistency mark of the regular season, because if you take a look, I mean, some of these games were all over the place. He had 19-minute games, 21-minute games, he had a 12-minute game as well, so he would rotate around in terms of ice time. Luke, I'd say, was a lot more consistent there in the 20, 24, 23 range. He had 32 minutes in a game too, which is absolutely nuts. Like, Luke Hughes has already been thrusted into a more significant role, I would say, than Simon this season. And the point production does reflect that so. But in this video, stepping aside from Luke and Simon, I wanted to talk about one of the guys that I have been such a big fan of ever since his draft-eligible year, but whom we have not talked about nearly as much. Let's talk today about Seamus Casey, another one of these Michigan Wolverines who has gone out there and made an impact. Now, like Luke and Simon, Seamus Casey is 20 years old. But he's 5'9", so definitely not the same size as Luke Hughes, a lot more in that smaller-ish defenseman territory, think Lane Hudson-esque kinda. Seamus Casey had 161 pounds on his frame too, so he's a light dude, but this right-handed defenseman, who is a 46th overall pick by the New Jersey Devils in the second round of the 2022 NHL Entry Draft, is indeed special. Let's read the scouting report before we go over the numbers here. His technique as a puck handler is nearly perfect, and he's as comfortable on the forehand as he is on the backhand, as comfortable blending the first touch or pass reception into a dangle as he is a dangle or a pass or a shot. What in the world does that mean? Into a dangle as he is a dangle into a pass or a shot. Okay, Well, skip that sentence for now. It's a real thing of beauty to watch the right shot defender when he's feeling it with the puck on his stick. And feeling it is all Seamus Casey did this season, because in 2023-2024, the 5'9" defenseman had 45 points in 40 games played, 7 goals, 38 assists. He had 6 points in 6 World Junior games this year, and if you go over to the NCAA's point production leaders in defensemen, you will see that Casey was one of the top guys in this year's worth of play. He was 3rd overall, only behind Zeev Buium, who is a draft-eligible player this year. How incredible is he and his point production? And Lane Hutson, who is the Montreal Canadiens guy. He was number 1 in points per game for defensemen. Seamus Casey was 3rd, which is great, especially for a pick later on in the draft, like the 2nd round. You don't normally see 2nd rounders be this good this quickly, but for Seamus Casey, he has been so good that this is the kicker right here. We have had ourselves some comparisons made to NHL stars of the past. Byron Bader tweeted this out. Seamus Casey, we like him. And it is a comparison between Seamus and former Washington Capitals defenseman Mike Green. Now, if you take a look at the numbers here, Seamus Casey's Draft Plus 2 NHL equivalency score, based off of his point production in the NCAA, was roughly around a 39-point mark. Mike Green, when he played his Draft Plus 2 season in the AHL, had a really similar path of 36. Now, Mike Green, of course, is a really interesting NHL trivia piece if you're thinking about the history of the league and everything, and we'll get into why that is as the video goes on. But when it comes to this comparison right here, just taking a look at the Byron Bader prospect analysis chart, Seamus Casey has himself a 41% chance of becoming a star at the National Hockey League level, and a 74% chance of being an NHLer just straight up. His full comparison is Mike Green, and this is kind of why I wanted to bring this up, because Green, he's a little bigger than Seamus Casey. Green was 6'1", 207, right-handed guy as well. But part of what made Mike Green so special as an NHL hockey player, especially straight out of his junior days in the WHL, is because right after being an AHL guy and producing points as a defenseman over there, this is when he started to pop off. Mike Green in his next season's worth of NHL play had 12 points in 70 Capitals games, yes, but the season after that, 56 points in 82 NHL games, and then he had a 73-point campaign in 68 games, including 31 goals. That was the last time we saw a defenseman score 30 goals in a season, I'm pretty sure. Is there a way to figure that out? Okay, let's go over here. NHL all-time per season, and then we will go from 08-09 all the way to 2023-2024, sort by defenseman, and then we'll go to goals. Yeah, there's a lot of extra preliminary things we're going to have to do here to get this result, but yeah, right there, Mike Green was the number 1 goal-scoring defenseman we have seen in years. Nobody has beaten him. As a 23-year-old, he scored 31 goals in 68 games played. And if you go even further back, I mean, was there a guy who had more goals than Green did? No. Even if you go back to 2002, 2003, how about the mid to late 90s? Were there any guys outproducing him? No, there were not. Ay. We're going to have to go really far back to see defensemen who produce goal numbers like Mike Green did. And then you have to consider the goals per game as well. Okay, so it took until 1992, 1993 to get to the last 30-goal defenseman, but Kevin Hatcher did this in 83 games played. Mike Green had 3 fewer goals in, what is that, 15 fewer games. So that's kind of the nutty example here as to why Mike Green is such an anomaly in the NHL history books. So while it's not really projectable to say that the Devils have themselves a second-round pick who is going to score 30 goals in an NHL season, it still is a nice comparison to see that this is the profile whom Seamus Casey compares to the most. And there are some replies going out there, like, I'm not sure if anyone's going to recreate Mike Green's career. A very strange path to brief superstardom followed by mediocrity. Having Ovechkin, Semin, and Backstrom on the power play certainly helped. His shot was insane for a few years there. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as to Seamus Casey, how he is also one of these top defenseman guys into the future, like Luke Hughes, like Nemec. He does not have the pedigree, he does not have the size, but Casey still is worth talking about. The Devils are absolutely cooking. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 9 and bye.